Alrighty. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. If you were catching the replay or you're in a different time zone, we are here today at the Create Recurring Revenue Masterclass so that you can learn exactly how to do that. More specifically, I want you to be able to walk away at the end of this class knowing how to create 10,000 plus in monthly recurring revenue without relying on packing your schedule full of one-on-one calls, working 50 plus hour weeks, or burning out. So this class is going to be for you if any of these things resonate. If you're live with me, please let me know in the chat if any of this is like ping, 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 that's me. So this class is for you if your schedule is jam-packed and that to-do list that started out as like a really great opportunity to place your notes has basically become your arch nemesis. And maybe when you add things, you kind of shake your head and you go, not quite sure what I'm getting to that one. That's how crazy your schedule is. You're getting through the daily work and you're getting through your client work and you're doing the bare minimum on everything else, but you're not really making progress on those bigger goals that you had for yourself or your business. Maybe that's putting off a podcast that you really wanted to launch or a YouTube channel, or you're not training for that new marathon or whatever the event is at the end of the summer that you really wanted to register for because you just don't have the time or the energy. This class is also for you if your revenue is hitting a wall and you know that it's time to scale, but you don't really know what that looks like for your business. Is it a course, a membership, a group program? Is it something else? And finally, this is a great class for you if you are feeling frustrated and maybe burnt out or on your way to burning out, and you really want to start enjoying your work again. You're tired of the business that you busted your butt for feeling like another job. That was not the reason that you signed up for business. So if any of these things are ringing a bell or resonating with you, we are going to dive into them today. So first, I want to get started with making it absolutely clear. You do not have a not enough time problem. You do not have a consistency problem. You don't have a productivity problem. You've tried all of the different things. You've tried time blocking. You've possibly tried hiring a VA or getting some other team member on board to help you out, social media manager, etc. Or maybe you've even tried having those like theme days where on Mondays you do all your content, on Tuesday you do all your pitching, on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday you have all your client sessions. But these things haven't worked because the root of your problem is not that you need 36 hours in a day. Unfortunately, if that was the case, we'd all be screwed because there's nothing we can do about it. The root of the problem is that you have a business structure issue. The way that your business is currently set up is not supportive of what you want in your life or your business. And this is really good news because business systems and business structures can be fixed, can be rebuilt, can be made into something better. And that's what we're going to dig into today is how you actually build out what exact systems you need. So that's the first thing is it's not a not enough time issue. It's not that you're not doing the right things in the right order or you're not disciplined or you need to work harder. None of that. It's simply about, it's simply about fixing your business structure. So this training is most going to help this type of entrepreneur. It will help others, but this is the type that it's going to most benefit. That seasoned but overworked solopreneur who is ready to become a successful and time-free CEO. Most entrepreneurs that I've talked to in some form or fashion started their business because they wanted to have more flexibility in their day, more autonomy of how they went about things, and just more space. And that's what we are going to shift you towards, is having that freedom and that flexibility in your day so that you have that time freedom. So this training is most going to help the entrepreneur who's already making about $5,000 or more in their business, but it's not consistent, or they're ready to consistently make that 10K a month. This is most going to help you if you have a marketing system already in place. You're moving people along your funnel or your client journey, but it's more hands-on than you'd like it to be. We're going to teach you how to fix that so that you're not spending 20 hours a week on the marketing stuff. And then finally, this is going to help you if you've already got at least one validated offer, you've taken at least 5 people through something, and you're ready for having that diversity and more reliability in your income rather than only focusing on that one offer or one-on-one services. So in today's agenda, we've got 3 main items that we're going to cover in the next hour or so. One, we're going to review the only 4 things you need for a sustainably successful business, because it's not about having the fanciest tools. It's not about having all of the subscriptions or all of the things. We're going to go over the 4 things you need. Then we're going to dive deep into how to diversify your revenue so that it's more reliable and requires fewer resources. Not just more reliable because you're working 70 hours a week, but more reliable because you've got options. And then finally, we're going to dig into how to turn scattered marketing tactics into one cohesive, scalable, repeatable, converting like crazy system that also does not take up hours and hours and hours. So my goal at the end of this is that you're going to walk away knowing exactly how to create that $10,000 a month in recurring revenue without continuing to trade your time for money or burning yourself out. And the secret to this is my proprietary method that I take all of my clients through, the Strategic and Sustainable Business Growth Method. So before we get into all of this, let me take a second and introduce myself to anyone who is brand new to my world. Hi, hello, my name is Christy Mellinger. I'm a business consultant specializing in helping holistic health providers, energy workers, and mission-driven service providers go from overworked solopreneurs to successful and time-free CEOs by streamlining their businesses so that they can enjoy their lives. Yes, it's about making a ton of money because money is a great resource in this world, but it's also about how do you get into the rest of your life more? How do you get to enjoy more of the rest of things? And I've been coaching consulting for about 5 years now. Prior to that, I worked in hotels, really massive hotels across the US and Mexico. And it was in transitioning from that really, really big business model with $150 million a year annual budgets to working with solopreneurs where it's one person doing all of the things with very limited resources that I noticed the need for structure. So big corporations like hotel companies have systems and structures in place for everything. There is a standard operating procedure for how you do literally every single part of your job. And there's a lot of really great benefits to that, which is why solopreneurs and small business owners really need that structure in place. Structure is the thing that's going to allow you to flex your creativity, to have that freedom, and to really enjoy your life. So over the last 5 years, I've worked with over 150 small business owners to help them add in structure and really get the most out of their business. But that's enough about me. Let's get into the meat of why we are here. The 4 non-negotiables you need in business. These are the only 4 things that you need to have in business to really lock it down. Number 1 is a comprehensive roadmap. This is a roadmap of where you're going, where you're starting from, and how you're going to get there. And we'll talk more in detail in a second here. The second is a revenue system. Now, when I say revenue system, all that means is a diverse and strategic way of making money. That's it. And then you need a marketing system, a clear and scalable process of communicating about your business and your offers. And then finally, you need an operational system that has resources that are going to get you the things that you want. So you're not just relying on your brain, hoping that you don't forget something, that it doesn't fall out with the other 1,000 things you have going on, or a bunch of Post-it notes. Really building in those systems and resources, those tools and processes, so that your business runs as smoothly as possible. So let's dig into each one of these in more detail. First things first is you've got to have a comprehensive roadmap. Now, like I said, the roadmap is really simply put, a clear idea of where you're going. What is the thing that you are building? What is that integrated vision that you have for your life and your business? Where are you starting from? What is the objective, data-driven reality of where your business is right now? And then how are you going to bridge the gap between here and there? And then finally, what resources do you actually need to get that done? So why do you need such a detailed roadmap? When you know all of that detail, when you have this really crystal clear explanation, description, vision of the world that you are creating in your business and your life, it acts as blinders, right? It acts as blinders. It acts as like the bumpers on a bowling alley to keep you on track. When you know and can tell me in massive detail this big, huge vision that you're creating for the world, how you're changing the world, what your legacy is, what you're doing for your clients, how that ripples effect into their families' lives or their community, how it affects your excuse me, I've had a tickle in my throat, so apologies, how it affects your family, your community, and you have that big, huge detail, and you can get super crystal clear on this is how I spend my day. These are the tasks and the projects that I'm putting my energy on in a daily, ordinary basis. That is going to give you the ability to wear these really helpful blinders so you're not getting distracted by all the shiny objects, all the popular trends, or all of the things that you could be doing. This is the best thing that's going to keep you on track because it's going to give you this ability to say, nope, I don't need that. Yes, actually, I need that. Hey, I need to connect to this type of person. Can you help me? It gives you clear direction forward in every aspect of business and honestly in your life as well. So what most people get wrong when it comes to building out this roadmap is that they minimize it to a really fun vision board or journaling experience. I love a good vision board. I journal many days a week. I think that those are great tools. But if you stop at just journaling out, this is what the best day in my business looks like, or you just stop at the vision board of, I want $150,000 and I want to be on stage and I want to be in Forbes 40 under 40, whatever it is, that doesn't give you the rest of the information. Whereas a true roadmap is also going to tell you, okay, if this is where you're going, where are you starting from? What is the reality of the situation? What do you have to work with right now that's ready to go? And then more importantly, how are you going to go from here to there? What resources do you need, personal and professional? So instead of sticking with just the vision board or just these surface level solutions, what I want you to do instead, so that it's useful, so that you're making those 10K months, so that you're saving time and not feeling so harried all the time, is I want you to make sure that your roadmap is integrated first and foremost. What I mean by that is that your life and your business should have one combined vision. Because if it's going to be sustainable, your business has to support your life and vice versa. So when you're thinking about what your vision looks like, make sure that it's integrated a vision of life and business. Then I want you to make sure that after this training session, we're not going to do it on today's call, but after this training session, that you're going to set aside time to really dig into all of this. And then finally, to use it as a driving force. I don't want you to just build it out and think, oh, that was a fun experience. It's pretty and it's going to collect, digital dust in my Google Drive. But go back to this every time you need to make a decision, every time that you're at a fork in the road of where do I go, what do I create, etc. So I want to take a second because I want to actually walk through an example of what this might look like. This is if you're going to screenshot something in this class, like this is a great slide to screenshot. And I'm going to go through it pretty quickly because like I said, we're not going to do it on this training, but I do want you to have an idea of what this looks like. So a comprehensive roadmap is first going to start with that vision, that big thing that you're creating. How are you making the world a better place? What is the thing that you are doing in this world? And specifically, you're going to go think big, think outside all of the boxes, do all the things. But I want you to specifically have three goals that you have written down. Number one is a revenue and profit goal. And get really clear here. This is a mistake I see a lot of solopreneurs make as well, is that they only have a revenue goal, forgetting that you have to pay taxes and other expenses. So identify that revenue and profit goal. Then I want you to have a lifestyle goal. This is oftentimes going to be you want to work under 25 hours a week, you want to work when your kids are in school, you want to have summers off, etc. And then finally, you're going to have a milestone goal. And a milestone goal is going to be something that supports either your revenue or your lifestyle goal. So maybe it's something like you want to have 10 people buy your next package or enroll in the next group launch of your program. That's driving towards your revenue goal. It could also be I want to hire an OBM by the end of Q2 or Q3 because that's going to help take time off of your workday. So that's what I mean by where are you going? Thinking all the big picture of the big, beautiful vision that you're creating, but also getting detailed on these 3 specific metrics. That's step 1. Step 2 is then getting really clear on the data reality of where your business is right now. And you can do this with a really simple SWOT analysis. Now, a SWOT analysis is really just what are the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats in your business. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, we know what those are, but also threats. So threats are typically going to be either economic in nature, which we're in my professional opinion, really weird economic time right now. So economic in nature. They are also going to be legislative. So if there are any laws changing. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. My screen is like really freaking out. Alrighty. Sorry about that, everyone. My Zoom is freaking out there for a second. Okay, so we're talking about the SWOT analysis. So the threats are going to be economic in nature, legislative, so that can look like changes laws, or if you're in a field that has licensing requirements, it could be that you need to have continuing education credits every so often. And then finally, threats are often going to be technological in nature as well. So any kind of AI, that's really running rampant right now. So run through a SWOT analysis of your whole business and see what opportunities you have for creativity, for growth, for changes, and also what threats or obstacles exist. And I want to say one more thing here on the threats piece. That can also look like really happy, fun, exciting things. Maybe you're getting married in November and you're taking 3 weeks off. That is a great thing, and it's a disruption to your normal business operations. So when you do that SWOT analysis, you're going to get a really clear idea on where you're starting from, what the resources are that you've already got. And then you're going to build out the true plan on how you're going to get from here to there. And we're going to dig into the revenue, marketing, and operations, the rest of this. And then finally, what resources are you going to need to get that done? Now, this can be personal and professional. Professional is obviously going to be things like a website, new branding, things like that. Personal could be a cleaning crew or a landscaping crew that's just going to come in and take some of the pressure off the rest of your life. So now that you can see how this gets filled out, you can really start to see that this creates those blinders so you're not getting distracted by everything out there. This is non-negotiable number 1, is a comprehensive roadmap so you know what you're doing, where you're going, and why. Non-negotiable number 2 is an operation system. Now, we are going out of order. If you remember, this was actually the 4th thing on my list of 4, but this is also the most nuanced and most specific to your individual business. So I'm going to keep this one a little bit shorter and a little bit higher level so that we can spend the bulk of our time in revenue and marketing. So when we talk about an operations system, it's simply how you run your business. How do you run your business so that it is as simple and as efficient as possible? That's all. It's not about necessarily having this huge platform or this huge suite of techs. It's really about just running your business as cleanly and simply as possible so that it's as efficient as possible. Now, you need this. You need to have some tools, some processes, some procedures in place so that you are not an overwhelmed solopreneur doing all the things, answering the same questions time and time again, or trying to remember what you did in this situation a year and a half ago when it happened. When you have these processes, these procedures, these written out things in place, you know what's happening at all times. And also, it means that when it is time to hire on a team member, they are more successful, which means you are more successful. If you do not have these operational systems in place, it really, simply put, means that you are wasting time and losing money. And those are two things that as small business owners, you cannot afford to do: waste time and lose money. So what most solopreneurs get wrong with this step is that they go ham. They buy all of the tools, all of the subscriptions, all of the automations without ensuring that it is the right thing for them. They go out and they buy all of these big, beautiful, shiny tech stack, all of the things that all the experts say, this is what you need to succeed, and this is what you need to succeed, without first checking in and making sure, hey, do I actually need that? So I'll share a really simple example from my own business. A few years ago, before I was consistently making money and signing clients, I had my website and my email through Kajabi. Now, Kajabi is an incredible web host. I think it's a great platform. But at that time, I did not need it. The reason I signed up for it was because all of my mentors had Kajabi, all of the huge business coaches and other coaches use Kajabi. And I thought, you know what? When I get the business of my dreams, I'm going to need everything in this. Well, I might as well do it now. And I ended up for, I think, 12 or 14 months paying almost $200 a month for a system that I used less than 25% of the features. So I was massively overpaying for something because I thought I needed it, because I didn't take that step back and say, hey, of the 25 different features they have, how many am I actually going to use today and in the next couple of iterations of my business? I was so excited about what the big goal was that I didn't look at the now. And that's where so many solopreneurs get tripped up. I don't want you to get tripped up. I don't want you to make these same mistakes. So instead, what I want you to do when it comes to your operation system is to focus on what you need right now in this iteration of your business, and maybe 2 or 3 iterations in the future. So we know that big vision that you created in non-negotiable number 1 has this huge ripple effect on the world. But you're in a class learning about making 10K recurring revenue. We're not quite there yet. You're moving ahead, but you're not quite there yet. So in this iteration of your business, for the next 12 months or so, what are the things that you need to run your business right now and in the next couple of months as efficiently as possible? Typically, that's going to look like an email service provider, a CRM, customer relationship management tool, some kind of onboarding and offboarding workflow, a scheduler that actually syncs with your email and your payment processor, and a website. You probably already have most of those, but I want to cover my bases here. And then the second thing I want you to do is to really determine in each of those tools that you're going to need, what is crucial, what is something or a component that you absolutely need to have, what's a nice to have, and what's totally optional. And when you can get clear on those 3 things, when you go to research the best CRM or the best email service provider to use, you already know which features you need to reference. You already know, actually, that I'm going to use Kajabi as an example because I used it already. But if you're looking for a feature that's on your absolute necessary to have list that Kajabi doesn't offer, Kajabi is not the right tool for you. But you've got to know that going into it. So your homework takeaway after this training when it comes to your operation system is to first write out a list of everything repetitive or time intensive you do in your business right now. Take a look at how you're spending your time for a week and ask yourself, of all the things that I'm repeatedly doing that are really time intensive, what in that can either be streamlined, delegated, deleted, or automated? And those are going to be the first tasks you look to build systems and tools around. And then after that, like I said, make sure that you do have those 5 things covered as far as email, CRM, scheduling, common onboarding, offboarding, and your website. Make sure that those things are automated so that you can sign clients easily, you can offboard them easily, and that it's just as smooth as possible. That is all I'm going to cover on the operation side. Like I said, it's really nuanced based on how your business is set up, what your goals are, etc. But that's your homework for non-negotiable number 2, is make sure that you are focusing on the most impactful to you tasks so that you have those processes, procedures, and tools set up. So now we're going to move into non-negotiable number 3, which is having a revenue system in place. Now remember, a revenue system is simply a diverse way of making money. You can think of it as a diverse set of revenue streams. And here's the one perspective shift I really want to make sure that you have walking away from this section of the training is the question that you ask yourself when it comes to revenue is really important. So if on Monday morning or Sunday night, or whenever you decide to do this, if you sit down and you ask yourself, what am I selling this week? What am I selling in June? What am I selling in Q3? That is not the best question that you can ask yourself. What am I selling is a hallmark question of an overworked solopreneur who is just treading water. What am I selling is a very small perspective on how you can generate revenue. The better question I want you to start asking yourself is, how am I making money? How am I making money this week? How am I making money in June? How am I generating that revenue in Q3? How am I hitting that goal that I want in all of 2025? And maybe it sounds like that's not really a big difference, Chrissy. What's the big deal? But when you say, what am I selling this week? That's a little bit more of that. How do I have to hustle? I got to go out and I got to sell the thing and I got to go on my stories and I've got to put posts out and I've got to da-da-da-da. Got a little bit more hustle to it. Whereas how do I make money is I get to sit back. Money makes money for me. So that's the first thing I want you to do when it comes to a revenue system is start asking yourself a better question. Which leads into what most entrepreneurs get wrong when it comes to revenue generation in their business is that they focus solely on what can they sell. What can they work in order to get money? There's very much this emphasis on trading time for money. What can I offer? What can I deliver? What can I do in order to receive an invoice or in order to receive a payment or a Stripe notification, etc. Then there are solopreneurs who are like, okay, I don't want to do that. I don't want to trade time for money anymore. I'm going to create a passive income stream. I'd love to know, if you're live with me, how many people have gotten tempted by the passive income stream? I have. I 100% have. I've gone to so many different webinars on how to create passive income stream over the past 15 years that it's ridiculous. But the thing that really trips people up here is passive income does not start out as passive. You have to still put work behind it. And oftentimes solopreneurs will think, oh, I'm going to create this course. Like, I'm really good at this thing. It may or may not be related to the core thing that I do and that I'm known for, but like I can do it. So I'm going to put it out there and sell it and it's going to make me a ton of money. So they're putting together these passive income streams or these different income streams without really making sure that it's congruent with their business, that there's real strategy behind it, or that they're incorporating it into their buyer's journey. And then the final thing that many solopreneurs will think about when it comes to revenue is that they don't. They go straight into marketing. They think if I've got one thing to sell, I am good to go, and I'm just going to rely on my marketing to make it actually happen. And that doesn't work because that puts so much pressure on your marketing then. It adds an unnecessary amount of pressure. So these things don't work, right? Focusing on what you can sell, trading time for money, it just doesn't work. So instead of getting caught up in that, what I want you to do instead is to have a diversified revenue system that has 3 different components to it. Core offers, absolutely, you want to become known for something. Stepping stone offers, and then ancillary or those extra revenue streams. We're going to dig into each one of these in more detail. So let's break it down. A diversified revenue system is going to first and foremost include your core offers, those signature things that you are known for. And this is by far the most common way that I see service providers run their business, is having these 1 to 2 core offers. And I'm going to repeat that part. 1 or 2 core offers, no more than that. If you've got 5, 6, 7, 8 different things, you're losing the potency of a signature offer. The absolute best part, most beneficial part of having a signature offer is brand recognition, is that a word association between your name and your offer. You want to go out in the world and be like, oh, my name is so-and-so. And the next person goes, oh my gosh, I know you have the blank, blank, blank package. Or you are the web designer for women who are doing things differently. Oh my gosh, I've heard of you, right? You want that brand recognition. And if you're going to have one core offer, it really gets specific here with what you want out of life, but you can have either a one-on-one, which means you are a little bit more trading time for money, right? It's a one-on-one, one-to-one, or you can have a one-to-many where it's like a group program. If you're going to have 2 signature offerings, which tends to be my recommendation for a lot of solopreneurs, it would be highly beneficial if you have one that is one-to-one and one that is one-to-many, because that allows you to scale your revenue and time a little bit better, and it gives you that brand recognition in 2 different spheres. So this is just one component though. These core offerings, you don't want to stop here. You don't want this to be the only way that you make money in your business, because you're missing out on the vast majority of potential clients. Let's say that your core package, the thing that you are known for, is a 6-month program, whether it's a one-on-one or a group program. Let's say it's 6 months and it's $5,000. We're going to use it as an example. If that's the only thing you're selling, you are looking for a very, very specific person who is ready to buy a 6-month package with you for $5,000. There might be someone who's an absolute amazing fit, but is not quite certain that they want to spend 6 months. Or they're not quite certain that they believe it's possible for them. If you're a nutritionist who works with moms postpartum, and you might have an ideal client who would love to work with you, but she's got a lot of food issues from her past. She's got a lot of medical issues from her past. She might not think that she can make 6 months work. So she's going to say, oh, that's not for me. And if that's all you have to offer, you're really missing that opportunity to build the belief in that woman that she can get the thing that she wants in life. You're missing that opportunity right now. And more importantly, if you don't have anything else set in place, you're primarily going to miss that opportunity in the future as well. Which leads us to the second type of revenue that you want in your business, which is a stepping stone offer. Stepping stones are going to help you get across a path easier, right? They're smaller stones. That's all these offers are. They are smaller opportunities to provide value to your clients, to onboard your clients faster because you reduce the risk. So using that same example of a 6-month program for $5,000, we could all agree that 6 months is a pretty significant chunk of time, and $5,000 may or may not be significant for you. So instead of only having that 6-month offering, when you start to have micro or mini offers, if you start to have these stepping stone offers, let's say that inside of that 6-month program, you go over 5 different pillars of nutrition. Well, that woman who we talked about in the example just now isn't quite ready for 6 months, but she does have enough trust in herself to do a 3-week challenge. So you're going to take one of those 5 pillars that are inside of your signature program. You're going to take it out, distill it down into the most potent, powerful pieces of information, and you're going to put it inside of a 3-week program. Maybe that's an email challenge, maybe that's a private podcast, whatever it looks like, that's irrelevant right now. But you're going to take that and you're going to make this much smaller offer. It's 3 weeks versus 6 months. That's a much smaller risk. And let's say maybe it's $500 versus $5,000. That's a much smaller risk. When you have these opportunities for clients or potential clients to say yes faster, it does a couple of things. First, it gets you money faster. We're running for-profit businesses here. So it gets you money faster because they're going to start working with you sooner. But more importantly, it starts to build up that trust. It builds up the trust in 3 different ways. Way number 1 is that it builds up the trust in that client in themselves. Okay, I signed up for this 3-week program. I'm showing up and I'm doing the thing. I'm 2 weeks in. Wow. Oh my gosh, look at me. I did this thing. I completed all 3 weeks. Maybe I can stick with a 6-month program. Maybe I can do this hard work, right? So that's the first thing. It builds up that belief in the client, in themselves, builds up that trust. The second trust that it builds is in you. Because instead of having to wait and see when it's right and maybe have a couple of conversations with you and binge all of your social media content and all your emails for 5 months, they get to actually work with you and see what it's like on the other side. They get to work with you for 3 weeks in this example and say, wow, actually, I thought that this was going to be really impersonal because it's this large group, but she made me feel special. She made me feel seen. She understood what I am specifically going through. So it builds that trust in you as a great mentor, facilitator, etc. And then finally, because they have already gone through something with you, some experience beyond just some social media post or an email sequence, they actually get to build that trust in your process as the solution for their problem. And those 3 things are absolutely crucial to all of our jobs. Every single one of us as a business owner must build in that trust in us as being the person that's going to get them there, and our process or framework as the solution that's going to get them there, and also to continue to build up that trust in them that they are ready. That's what stepping stone offers do, is they build all of that up. And from a very practical money-driven perspective, it increases your conversion because it's a smaller ask, it's a smaller risk. They're going to sign on faster, which means you get cash faster. They're going to have a great experience because you're amazing at the thing that you do, which means then they're going to go on to the next part of the buyer's journey and they're going to continue longer and higher lifetime value of client, right? And you get to really benefit them and give them value. Now, the last thing I want to say here is that your stepping stone offers shouldn't be things of, oh, I can do that, so I'm going to do it. Don't just add in offers. Don't just create something new every month or every quarter because you can. You want to make sure that every single stepping stone offer makes sense in your buyer's journey. What I mean by that, without going into this whole kind of diatribe on buyer's journey, is that your people are going to start somewhere early on in their journey buying with you. And you want them to work all their way through to whatever that signature offer is, or one of those two signature offers. So every stepping stone offer needs to make sense and build into something greater. That's the point. So for example, I'm going to show another mistake I made along the way so that you don't make the same thing. A couple of years back, I was getting into all different types of like energy and spiritual work. And I was still a business coach. I was still doing like a little bit of life coaching at that point. And I was learning a lot around Kundalini yoga, was doing it a lot in my personal life. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. This is changing so much for me. I'm going to host a workshop on it. That is an example of an irrelevant stepping stone offer because I didn't do anything with my business clients with Kundalini yoga. It was a completely personal thing for me. And I was like, oh, I'm so excited. Let me teach it. And I taught it. I had I think 3 people sign up, 2 of which were friends of mine. And it never went anywhere because it was irrelevant. It didn't make sense for the rest of my buyer's journey. If someone came to me for Kundalini yoga, there was nowhere for them to go. So when you're starting to think about these stepping stone offers, you really want to make sure that it makes sense for the rest of your business. Okay, so this is the second component of a revenue stream. And you might be sitting there thinking, okay, that covers a lot of it, right? Like what else is there? Both of these 2 buckets, whether it's a core offer or it's a stepping stone, still require that you are part of the delivery. Even if it's something that you hold, maybe you hold a stepping stone offer live a couple of times and then you record it and you only sell the recording, it still requires you in some way to have been part of that delivery. We want to make sure that there's a way for you to make money that you have to do as little work for as possible, because there are going to be times in your life when you're either at capacity, you do not have any open spots for clients, you are not launching again for another 3 months, or you're just like, you know what? I want to take summer off with my kids and I still want to keep that money going. So we want to make sure that there's a way for you to make money with doing literally as little work as possible. So the third category is this ancillary revenue stream or this kind of extra cash. And the whole point of this is for cash influx. Now, you always want to make sure that it is congruent with your values, that it makes sense for your clients, etc. But the point of ancillary revenue is that quick cash injection. The most common types of revenue streams here are going to be affiliate programs, referral partnerships, depending on how that is set up. And then it could be that this is a really gray area, but I'm going to mention it. It might be that passive income stream. Passive income is like a whole different topic. We're not going to get into it more. I'm really going to focus here, ancillary revenue being affiliate programs or referral partnerships. Now, the mistake here is that you don't necessarily want to be an affiliate for 50,000 different things. Again, it needs to be congruent with your values and it needs to make sense for your clientele. I'm a business consultant. It does not make sense for me to be a furniture store affiliate. I don't have conversations with my clients of this is the type of gaming chair I stole from my husband's office, or this is the type of desk that I have, or this is the type of, bed frame that I have. That doesn't make sense. However, it does make sense for me to be an affiliate for a nervous system mindfulness program, because that's a lot of work I do with my clients. As they make more and more money, their bodies have to feel safe enough to receive it. As they get more and more visible, their bodies have to feel safe enough to be visible. So that's what I mean by really making sure that it's congruent and it makes sense for your business. Now, sorry about that. Now, the biggest benefit here, like I said, is that cash influx without really doing a lot of work here. This is the revenue system that you want to have in place. You want 1 to 2 core or signature offers, a couple of stepping stone offers that make sense, that drive those clients, and ancillary revenue streams so that you can send out one email or a couple of social media posts with some links and you are bringing in that cash. So maybe you're sitting here looking at this and going, okay, there's so much opportunity for me to grow my revenue. Where do I actually start with this? This is where you start. First, identify what you already have in place and what's currently missing. Maybe you have 2 signature offers that are ready to go. They're both validated. You know that they both work and that there's demand for it. Great. Then you get to work on the other 2. Let me use this as an example. If you are a service provider offering one-on-one services and you are tapped out, you are at capacity, you have the choice to either create a secondary signature offer, create stepping stone offers, or to create ancillary revenue streams. Now, ancillary revenue streams are going to get you extra cash. That's great, but it's not going to do anything about giving you time back in your day. Stepping stone offers, you don't really need them at this point. If you're already at capacity, you're already tapped out, you can't add more clients, your primary objective is not to add more clients to your funnel. So the thing that I would typically recommend without knowing anything else about you in this made-up scenario is to actually create a secondary signature offer that is one-to-many so that you can continue to grow your revenue and you can drop down some of the workload that you have. When those one-on-one clients finish their contract, they don't get renewed as one-on-one clients, they get renewed into the one-to-many. That's just an example. So step 1 of where to start is identify what you have and what's missing. Step 2 is then to analyze if what you already have makes sense. Does it align with your goals and your vision? And then make the decisions to either keep it, change it in some way, or to delete it completely. Third step here is to brainstorm what you're missing. We just kind of walked through that in that example, but brainstorm what you're missing and prioritize the most impactful thing for you, looking at your time, looking at your money, and looking at your overall business goals. And then finally, you're going to create a plan to fill in the rest of those gaps. So for that example, the first step might be to create a group program. The second step, once that is all tested and ready to go, might be to then create an ancillary revenue stream so that you can get some extra cash without having to really launch something else for a quarter. And then maybe in 6 months from now, you decide to start really boosting up that funnel, boosting up that wait list of potential clients by doing a stepping stone offer. So that is what you're going to do to get started on your revenue system. Okay, I'm going to stop talking for a second and grab some water. Let me know in the chat if you're here with me live, if you've got any questions so far. All right, awesome. We are now going to shift gears and go into the 4th non-negotiable in business, which is a marketing system. Now, your marketing system does not mean that you have to hire a bunch of VAs, that you have to outsource it completely to a marketing agency, that you have to have some super ridiculously complicated funnel, or that you have to figure out how to use AI to automate everything. And it definitely does not mean that you're just going to keep doing what you've been doing because it's working and you're really afraid that if you make changes, your revenue is going to drop down. I get that, but that is not a system. So a marketing system is a clear, simple, and scalable way to communicate about your business and your offers. It's about being as efficient as possible. So what most solopreneurs get wrong with marketing is that they focus on doing more. And we all know at this point in our lives, if you're over the age of like 12, doing more does not necessarily equate to getting more. Doing more, including repurposing to be on more platforms, is not necessarily going to get you more cash or more time back in your day. The second mistake I see so many solopreneurs make is that they change too many things at one time. They'll either say, oh my gosh, that launch did not go the way that I wanted it to go. I'm going to completely burn it down and do something different. Or, oh my gosh, that promo that I did was a complete bust. I didn't get anyone to sign up for it. So they go and they completely change it. Or, and maybe it's not always that extreme that they go and burn it down and start from scratch. They might say, I'm going to change these 7 different things. I'm going to change the price and the title and the day of week and the time, and I'm going to change where I'm promoting it. That's too many changes at once. When you are making tweaks to your strategy, when you are making any changes to the business, you want to be as scientific and methodical as possible. You want to limit the number of variables that you are changing at any given time so that you know whether that change made a difference. Because it might be that you make a change and it actually does way worse. But if you made 5 different changes, you don't know which one of them made it worse, which one made it better, which one didn't change it at all. So that's one of the biggest mistakes I see so many solopreneurs make. The next big mistake that people make when it comes to marketing is relying solely on unsustainable channels. Now, we'll talk about what marketing channels exist in a moment, but there are so many different options. And I hear a lot of wellness providers and holistic health providers, especially, talk about, well, I want to educate the masses. So that must mean I have to be on social media. Even though if you're already at capacity, you're already working 50, 60-hour weeks, social media is not typically one of the primary ways that you're going to grow that also gives you time back in your day. The lifespan of social media is getting increasingly shorter, so it's typically unsustainable for solopreneurs who are already at capacity. And then finally, the other thing that many solopreneurs get wrong when it comes to marketing is focusing solely on the right now clients, the clients who are ready to buy from you right now. And this is a trend that I've been seeing for probably about a year to maybe a year and a half now. There's so much messaging and marketing out in the business world that tells you only focus on people who are ready to buy from you today. Again, you're running a for-profit business. You absolutely want to get paid today. I get it. And also, that means that every day you're hustling for those people. Whereas when you have a marketing system, you are absolutely talking to those people today who are ready to buy from you. And you are building up people who are going to be ready to buy from you in 3 weeks or 4 months or 8 months. And you build up that long-term wait list of clients so you're not constantly hustling. So instead of burning yourself out doing all of these things, what I want you to do instead is to truly have a marketing system, a refined set of strategies that use complementary channels that target your cold, warm, and hot audiences. Now, we're going to break this down in detail. First part is refined strategy. So a refined strategy means that every single piece of the puzzle has a purpose. Down to every single email that goes out after a masterclass or a workshop has a purpose. That every single post has a purpose. And a purpose beyond, oh, it's Monday and I need to post. It's Thursday and I haven't posted in 2 days. I got to get something out there. But truly has a strategic purpose. That is critical. When every single piece of your marketing strategy has a purpose, every single piece of it then gets to actually speak to someone specifically and convert them into the next step. It builds up that belief in you, in your solution being the solution, and it builds up the belief in them. So that's the first part, is that every single piece, every single thing that you put out there must have a purpose. The second part is that you're going to use a set of complementary channels, channels that work in tandem, that build upon one another. So let's use an example that one of my clients use a lot. She is a podcast guest in a very niche nutrition topic. So the way that she could go about this is she has this 45-minute presentation that gets really deep into all of the beautiful things about her niche. At the end of that 45-minute podcast episode, where she has gone really deep into one specific topic that her listener and her ideal client absolutely wants to know about, I'd love to know, what do you think that she puts her people towards? So many podcast guests at the end of it, when the host says, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much for being here. Where can we connect with you?" What so many business owners do is they say, "Oh, I'm on Instagram. You can connect with me there. Send me a hello or shoot me a DM." That's not the best solution. That's not a truly complimentary channel. Because if somebody just spent 45 minutes listening to you talk about this really intense, detailed topic, it doesn't make sense to them send them to your Instagram account that's going to be talking about 4 different content pillars at a surface level, shorter bite-sized pieces. On your funnel, you've taken them from maybe step 2, where they've done like a lot of time with you. They've really spent time listening and learning from you. You're actually sending them backwards. Social media is not typically going to be that thing that really pushes them forward. A more complementary marketing channel to podcast guesting is oftentimes going to be an email, whether that's an email subscription, whether that's a private email sequence, whatever it is, because they've already listened to you for 45 minutes. Now they get to actually go listen to you or read from you in detail. You get to go deeper and more into a topic via email than social media for the most part. So that's just one example, but those are complementary channels. You want to make sure that everything you're doing not only has a purpose, but that also is building up on one another, and again, continues to make sense across the buyer's journey. The third piece of a marketing system is that you need to have strategies in place that target your cold audience, warm audience, and nurtures your hot audience. So cold and warm, that's where most solopreneurs spend their time, primarily the cold audiences. So I'm not going to cover those two, but it's that hot audience that many solopreneurs forget about. The hot audience, people who sign up for every course, every freebie, everything that you come out with. Those clients who have bought into every single program that you have sold, that cannot stop raving about you. You still actually want to market and nurture those clients as well. Don't get into the habit of being like, "Oh, I put this thing out, Linda's going to buy it." Linda always buys it. Linda will probably buy it because you continue to be amazing at the thing that you do and you're showing up and doing value, but also let's make sure that Linda's getting a ton of value out of it. So one of the things that I personally love to do, I'm going to give this as an example for my hot audience. And part of this is 90%, I personally like to do this as a human being. 10%, there is a business push to it as well. I send my past and current clients birthday cards, anniversary cards, thank you cards, celebratory gifts, little things, not necessarily these huge, $200 presents, but just something that says, "Wow, you hit, a new record for your clients," or "You hit an extra $2,000 in cash this month. Congratulations, so proud of you." And it's something really small like that. A thank you card is like $1.50 plus postage, that nurtures that relationship, that continues to give back to that client. So it's making sure that you have marketing channels that are hitting cold, nurturing warm, and continuing to nurture your hot audience as well. And then the final part of a marketing system is really making sure that you have a combination of building, borrowing, and buying audiences. Those are the 3 ways that you get in front of people. You either build it organically, you borrow it from other people. I'm in 2 different summits this month. I am borrowing a bunch of audiences from other speakers to grow. And then you're buying it through advertisement, whether that's social media advertisement or other. That is the whole breakdown of your marketing system. And when you have refined strategies that use complementary channels that make sense for your vision and your goals, that target all three sections of audience that you need to be in front of, and uses a combination of building, borrowing, and buying, that is when you are going to convert like crazy. That is when every single thing you do has a return of very high value. No more are you just posting because it's Monday and you're supposed to, or because it's Wednesday and you didn't post since Friday. This is the marketing system that's going to get you clients faster while also reducing the amount of work you need to do, because each piece of it is more powerful and more intentional. We're not going to go over this list of marketing channels. I just want to have this here because I think it's always a good reminder to see what options you have out there, especially in 2025. Social media is such a big part of our reality. AI is becoming such a big part of our reality that it can oftentimes feel like if you are overwhelmed and you're like, I have 4 seconds to do this thing, what's the easiest way to get it done? Your brain might tell you it has to be AI, it has to be social media, but in reality, there are so many different channels that you can use to market your business. So again, this is a great slide to screenshot if you screenshot things, because this is going to just like help you remember there are different channels out there when you start looking at your marketing system. So now you might be thinking, okay, great, there are so many options out there. Where do I get started? And you'll see that this looks pretty much identical to how you get started with your revenue system. And that's there for a reason. You're going to go back and you're going to identify what you already have in terms of marketing and what you're missing. You're going to analyze if what you already have makes sense, has a return on investment, is refined, is complementary, etc. And you're going to make those decisions to keep, change, or remove. And then you'll then brainstorm what's missing, prioritize the most impactful gap, and then create a plan to fill in the rest. That is part number 4, non-negotiable for recurring 10K months. So let's take a beat and let's recap all of it. To create $10,000 plus in monthly recurring revenue, there are 4 non-negotiables that you need in business. Number 1 is this comprehensive roadmap, so you know where you're going and what you're doing and how you're going to get there. Then you need a revenue system of diverse revenue streams, a marketing system that is refined and converts, and then operational systems that help your business run as smoothly as possible. Now, you've got the roadmap of what you need, and it's time to make a choice. Are you going to keep trading time for money, working too many hours and trying to remember what that thing is that you're supposed to be doing? Or are you going to take what you learned today and actually implement it? Will you continue to be an overworked solopreneur, or are you ready and willing to become a wildly successful and time-free CEO? That's my question to you. Feel free, if you're live with me here, to stick it in the chat. If you are ready to step into being a time-free CEO, which I'm going to go ahead out on a limb and make that assumption because that's why you're here today, to make this 10K plus months, to have more time freedom in your life, there are 3 different ways that you can do this. Way number 1 is to DIY it and spend hundreds of hours testing everything. Now, if you go this route, I want to give you 2 tips. Number 1, get yourself an accountability partner that ideally is not a romantic partner or a significant other and has experience in business ownership or entrepreneurship. Because having an external accountability partner will help you with the analysis paralysis, will help you with perfectionism and procrastination. Because if you're going to DIY this, you are absolutely going to hit on one of those at some point as you're testing every single step, as you're researching different tools and resources. So tip number 1 is get yourself an accountability partner. Tip number 2 is absolutely make sure that you have your roadmap before you do anything else. Because again, you've got a lot of different things to test out on your own. You want to make sure that you have those blinders that are going to tell you yes to that, no to that, 6 months from now for that. So if you're going to DIY this, you absolutely can do that. My 2 tips are make sure that you've got an external accountability partner and make sure that you've got that clear roadmap before you get started on the rest of it. Those 2 things are going to help you so much if you DIY. If you're like, I don't want to do it that way, that seems like not a lot of fun. Option number 2 is that you can outsource everything outside of your zone of genius to someone else. So the thing I hear most often from service providers is that if they could just outsource their marketing, that would be awesome. So I want to actually break out what that looks like a little bit. Let's say you decide I'm going to pay someone else to handle all of my marketing for me. It's not fun. It takes up a lot of my time. I don't want to do it. I'm not good at it. Whatever story you've got going on. What does that look like? So if you hire a marketing agency, you are on average at the low end going to pay $5,000 a month for that marketing agency. You still need to have meetings with them. You still need to make sure that the job is getting done correctly. If you decide to go the individual consultant or expert route, you're probably looking at hiring a social media manager for $3,000 a month, again, on average. An ads manager to get in front of cold audiences, that's another $1,500 a month plus the ads. An email marketer, maybe that's another $1,000 a month. And then a VA, that's probably about $2,000 or more. So if you go the marketing agency route, you're looking at minimum $5,000 a month. If you are looking at hiring individual people to do their zone of genius, you're realistically looking at about $7,500 a month just to export one piece of the puzzle. Because remember, there are 4 non-negotiables. Marketing is just one of them. That's a lot of money to put out every month. Your third option, if you're like, okay, I do want this, I do want the recurring 10K months, I do want to have more time back in my day, but I don't want to spend $7,500 every single month, and I don't want to do it myself. Your third option is to join me. Join me inside of my 6-month one-on-one consulting program. I'm going to take a minute and tell you a little bit more about this. Inside of this 6-month one-on-one container, it's you and me doing everything in your business together. We are going to take you from being an overworked solopreneur, trading time for money and probably burning out, or at least on your way to burning out, to becoming a wildly profitable CEO, making $10,000 plus every single month, working less than 25 hours a week, having nights and weekends off, and taking 2-hour lunch hikes whenever you want to. My methods have gotten my clients some results like these. One of my clients tripled her clients and revenue without tripling her workload. One ditched social media altogether because she realized that it was completely unsustainable and not what she wanted to spend her time doing. And within 2 weeks of pitching, she actually got booked in a top 10% podcast. A client felt so confident and, more importantly, calm because she wasn't relying on having 50,000 different post-its. She knew what was happening. I've had clients book in monthly speaking opportunities that resulted in monthly dream clients, VIP sessions, consultation calls all month, etc. Most of my clients have to-do lists that are under 5 things a day, including client deliverables. And they do everything from save 10 plus hours a week to cutting their workload in half. And they do it by creating these 4 things in their business: the roadmap, revenue, marketing, and operation systems. So inside of this 6-month container, you get a kickoff call that is a 2-hour, let's dig into all the things, figure out your vision, where you're going to go, and how we're going to get you there. Then I'm actually going to go in and do an in-depth audit of your current offers and sales funnels to quickly identify the quick wins, low-hanging fruit to get you the most cash with the least amount of work. We'll create a custom 12-month business roadmap so you know everything that you're doing. We're going to create that blinders for you. You get weekly 60-minute strategy calls with me to keep you on track to reach all of your goals. And then you've also got Monday through Friday access for support and to send me pretty much anything you want me to take a look at in your business, and I'm going to give you feedback on it. That could be a social media post, an email, an ad campaign. It could be a masterclass recording that you want me to take a listen to see how it went for you. Now, you may be looking at this and go, that's a lot. That's awesome. But do I have time to fit all of this into my already crazy schedule? And I want to start off by saying that's a totally valid question. This is great detail. And I'm not going to lie to you, this is not something that you can get done in 10 minutes a day. This does take time and this does take effort. But it's probably not as much time as you think it is. If you can carve out 3 hours a week, you can start seeing significant changes to the ROI on your business actions across the board. And I know it's June, it's summertime in half the world. You might be sitting there thinking, okay, that is 3 hours. That's less time than I thought. And also it's still 3 hours. The sun is shining. I want to be outside. But here's the thing. If you put in a couple of weeks of 3 extra hours a week, you will start to save time and make more money. I've had clients add thousands of dollars in revenue with one tweak to their hot audience marketing system. One tweak, and they added, I think the total ended up being about $7,000 to their revenue by one tweak. So how you spend your time is absolutely up to you. But if you really want to get away from trading time for money and working longer hours, this is how you do it, by creating these systems. So this whole package, valued at $35,000, is yours for just $1,500 a month. And remember, if you decided to go option number 2, where you are hiring a marketing agency or you are hiring people to take on marketing for you, just one example, you're looking at anywhere from $5,000 to $7,500 every single month. Plus, on top of that, you still have to manage it. You still have to make sure that it's actually getting the results that you want it to get. And to sweeten the pot a little bit, you've got a bonus as well. You get private support from my in-house copywriting coach. So I am including this in this package because I believe that messaging is so important to marketing. Not only do you want every single piece of your marketing system to have a purpose, you also want to make sure that what you're saying and how you're saying it in every single piece is really reaching your ideal client in the best possible way, building up that belief in them, in you, and in your framework. So I have my amazing Maddie. She's my in-house copywriting coach. She is going to give you a 60-minute strategy session at the beginning, making sure that you are kicking off with your messaging dialed in. And then throughout the 6 months together, the 3 of us are actually going to work in tandem to make sure that your messaging is so freaking good that every single thing you put out there does have a positive ROI. So to recap, you get the kickoff call, a sales and offer funnel, an offer and sales funnel audit, a roadmap, weekly calls, daily support, expert copywriting support from my friend from my friend Maddie, valued at over $40,000 for simply $1,500 a month. That's it. So your next step, your homework for this piece of the training, is to book your no obligation consult call so that I can answer any questions that you have about the program and that we can determine if this is the right fit. I'll put the link in the chat box in a minute. You'll also get it in the replay email as well. But this is a free 30-minute call. There is no obligation. You're not signing on to anything by booking the call. And if the last 40 hour and 15 minutes have not shown you, I don't do anything by hard sells, so it's not going to be sleazy or anything like that. It's truly a consultation so that you can ask me questions and we can make sure that this is the right fit for you. And and to sweeten the pot just a little bit more for my fast action takers, if you book your call in the next 72 hours, I'm actually going to give you an additional $1,500 off. So instead of $1,500 a month for 6 months, it's going to go to $1,250 a month, which essentially means that you're paying for 5 months of consulting and getting a sixth one for free. So all you need to do to lock in that bonus is to book your call in the next 72 hours. The call itself does not have to be held in the next 72 hours, but you just need to book it by Friday at noon and you'll lock that in. All right. So thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for being here. If you've got any questions, we've got about 10-15 minutes. Let me know in the chat. I'm going to share the link here in a second. Sorry, give me 1 second. My little link went away. All right. Does anyone? Oh, you're welcome, Mona. I know you popped in a little bit late, but you'll get the replay. You got most of it today, so that's really good. All righty. Well, if you don't have any questions, you've got about 10 minutes back in your day. Thank you so much for being here. Like I said, you'll get the replay in the next 10 minutes or so. I just need it to process once we stop recording. Any questions, just hit reply to one of the emails that's coming your way. And make sure that if you are a fast action taker, that you book that call by Friday at noon to lock in that extra savings. Thank you so much for being here with me. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you soon.